Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are watching our special coverage of the big story that's underway in the United States. While Donald John Trump is all set to be inaugurated into the White House in a few hours from now. He becomes the second only person in over 230 years of American governance to reclaim the presidency. Now, this ceremony, viewers, will be attended by several bigwigs. The guest includes world leaders like Argentina's President Javier Milei, Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, and tech giants like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Mark Zuckerberg. But a tumultuous presidency precedes Donald Trump. Remember, his previous four-year term was marked by intense political drama and tumultuous moments on Capitol Hill, and that followed his loss in the subsequent election. So naturally, there's a lot of conjecture around what Trump 2.0 will mean for the world and how will it be different from Trump 1.0, and what will it mean for India in particular with respect to the visa program, the tariff threats that are already in the talks. The world is indeed watching with bated breath on what the new administration could really bring. So the big question is, will this be a start of the new world order, especially on the economic front? And how will U.S. trade with India shape up over the next few years? To discuss those and many more angles, we're now joined by Dr. Mukesh Aghi, the President and CEO of USI SPF. Thank you very much, Mr. Aghi, for joining us here on ET Now.
My pleasure.
First things first, now, Donald Trump will take charge in just a short while from now. Tariffication of countries is the big statement that Mr. Trump has repeated time and again in view of the fact that there is a perception about some sort of a trade imbalance. Now, how soon do you think these tariffs could be brought in, and how deep do you think the impact that this decision of the Trump administration could have on Indian businesses?
Well, the Trump 1.0 is going to be very, and compared to Trump 2.0 is going to be very, very different. He is coming this time prepared with the team, with a policy agenda, and day one expected to sign almost 100 executive orders. His commitment to his base was that he will stop illegal immigration, he will bring back jobs, and ensure that there is a trade balance, creating more jobs, focus on inflation. It is important to understand that today, as he gets sworn in the next 1 hour, we will see the southern border, which is the border with Mexico, will get probably closed. You will see in the next couple of days massive effort to basically round up illegals who have gone through the legal process to be deported. And more important is some kind of a tariff agenda being executed on most of the countries, specifically China. And that will have an impact on inflow of goods, which will be priced at a much higher level. So that means you will see a much more aggressive posture by Trump in negotiation with countries. Now, as far as India goes, I think there are two things India has to look at very carefully. One is the illegal immigration. India has the third largest illegal immigrants in the US today. And then also on the tariff side, he's called India Tariff King. But I also strongly believe that the geopolitical alignment between India and the US is so strong that the transactional issue will be managed in a mature manner. That means both India will proactively talk with Trump administration in regards to illegal immigrants, and at the same time look at not just only tariff, but probably put a proposal together to have a much stronger FTA between the two countries. You have to understand that you have 5.5 million Indian Americans who are in a very strong position economically and as far as the administration goes. So they also have a strong influence on the incoming administration. But do expect some kind of a turmoil in the first 6 months before things do settle down.
So, Mr. Aghi, you're saying that, of course, in the near term, there could be some sort of a turmoil, and very interesting points that you've touched upon, of course, on the issue of illegal immigration. But let's come back to the point of tariffs and, of course, how the tariffication of several countries is something that Donald Trump has touched upon repeatedly previously. But how are businesses and bodies representing businesses like yourselves are gearing up for that eventuality? Have you been able to make your representations to the Trump administration?
Yes, in fact, we have been talking with the administration early on and trying to position why it is important to have a strong bilateral relationship between the two countries, be it geopolitical, be it on the trade side, be it on the technological side, or on people to people. You have to understand that trade between the two countries is around $200 billion. You have over 2,000 companies of US headquarters which have presence in India. And they're leveraging, almost 60% have GCCs in India, leveraging the capable talent of India to basically innovate and come up with new technology and definitely make US companies much more efficient and competitive. So from every aspect, for US companies, India becomes critical. Not only that, I think as the stress point goes up with China and US, India becomes very important for these companies to secure supply chain. So there is a lot of effort by US companies to ensure the relationship continues. And I think there has to be effort put in by India also to ensure that we are attracting focus on bringing more US companies into India. That means making sure the ease of doing business gets better. There's more transparency, there's more level playing field. Those are the issues which will keep on cropping up. But overall, we feel the relationship will have some turbulence, but in the long term, it is going to be a very viable, strong win-win partnership between the two countries.
Okay, Mr. Aghi, let me ask you on that note. Now these representations that you've made to the Trump administration, of course, to several officials in light of the several areas that you mentioned, with respect to the US-India partnership. So whether it's critical minerals, semiconductors, new age technology, quantum computing, what's been the overall response with respect to India in terms of how the US or the Trump administration is looking at India in its second term?
The response has been very positive. If you look at the Biden administration, in their briefing to incoming Trump team, emphasized the critical importance of India, both from the ISET, from Quad, from IMAC, from I2U2, and all people to people. And we have taken that basically flag and gone down and brought it down individually to each different department to ensure the process of technology transfer, the process of Quad, the process of IMAC continues itself. And so far, the response has been extremely positive. They feel that the trajectory between the two countries is moving in the right direction. The partnership is becoming much more equal and win-win. Yes, we will have to correct some of the issues in regards to trade imbalance, where India has a $45 billion trade surplus with US, and I think that can be corrected. And on the tariff side, yes, Trump has called India tariff king, but I think that also has to be dealt proactively. And what we're seeing is from the Indian government, they've taken a very proactive approach, connecting with the administration, connecting on a value proposition, which is a win-win between the two countries. So I think overall, we feel both the sentiment and content is very positive and is going to move in the right direction.
Absolutely. And I think the statements that have been made by the United States administration, whether it is in the Biden era or the Trump era, have largely been positive. We'll, of course, have to see how that really shapes up during a Trump 2.0 presidency. But Dr. Aghi, an area of particular interest to India is how the IT sector, and I think everybody's been waiting with the bated breath on how that particular policy will get impacted or get shaped with respect to the H1B visas, even though Trump has softened his stance as compared to what he said during his campaigning. So are there valid reasons to worry on that front?
Well, you have to understand the issue here is supply and demand. There is a much larger demand for IT workers, and the supply is very limited. And that's where H1B visa comes into play. Companies, for every 10 H1B visa rejected, 9 jobs then move out of the United States outside to different countries itself. For every basically 10% rejection, it has an impact of almost $85 billion on GDP. So it is in the interest of the United States to attract world-class talent. Yes, there has been cases of abuse, and I think that has to be corrected. But more important is that we need to leverage the partnership between H1B need in the US, at the same time the abuse part. And I think that's where the government of India and the companies can play a very pivotal role, that H1B issue does not get impacted. But overall, the sentiment here is that H1B is critical, and we just need to make sure that the abuse does not persist as we move forward.
Right. Dr. Aghi, help us also understand in terms of, you have a very important member of the business fraternity, Elon Musk, his involvement in the Donald Trump administration. How is that going to pan out? Because we know that India and Elon Musk have been working for the entry of Starlink and, of course, Tesla. Do you think that will be given a further boost, at least in the first few months of this administration? Will it give a fillip to that plan?
You have to understand the Elon Musk factor with Trump is a very interesting factor, because where you have Trump, which is very, very aggressive on China. Elon Musk has a mega factory of Tesla in China. Elon Musk was about to come to India to set up a plant of Tesla, and it got derailed by effort by the Chinese. But Elon Musk is also interested in looking at Starlinks, where you have the local companies such as Geo and Airtel, which have difference of opinion as far as allocation of spectrum. And then you have to, other factor is Elon Musk is in a big fight with the MAGA crowd in the US, the extreme right side. So it's a very complex situation. And I think as time goes by, you will see shifting of opinion, shifting of policy making, because what we see is Elon Musk trying to protect his investment in China, trying to leverage, move forward in India itself, but at the same time, MAGA crowd opposing Elon Musk. So I think all I can say is wait and watch for these plays to take place. But I think more important is India does becomes a very lucrative market, not only just for Elon Musk, but for the US companies also.
Absolutely, and which is what we are hoping that will deepen the collaboration, Dr. Aghi, between the two countries. As far as Starlink is concerned, we know that the Union Telecom Minister stated that India would welcome Starlink as long as they are taking care of the security laws in the country. On that note, thank you very much for presenting your perspectives on this big story of the day. Thank you very much once again, Dr.